it's Dave from SPT. Hope you're good. Had a few questions regarding strengthening around your ankles since the videos that I put up the other day on improving your ankle mobility and just generally loosening up your lower legs. So I just wanted to quickly cover those today. Really the main thing is just keep it simple, it doesn't have to be complicated. Actual stuff that's slightly loaded up, if you're mobile and you've improved your mobility, is fine, so it doesn't need to be anything too specific or clever. It's just literally, you know, some loaded carries, whether you've got farmer's walk handles or if you're not that fortunate, just anything, just carrying some weights, discs up and down. You can be more specific and you can simulate, you know, cutting movements and side to side lateral stuff if your sport includes those kind of moves. So it's just really whatever you need to work on. Just on a simple level, you can do basic stuff. Most of you probably would have seen like a towel or tea towel on the floor and just scrunching up using your toes. That's great for rehab, but obviously it's not kind of going to do much to strengthen unless you're incredibly weak and need to try and just work on basically putting weight on your ankles and just walking, kind of simple stuff. So if we're healthy and everything's mobile and we're looking to actually strengthen ourselves for sport, then that's a different thing altogether. Okay, so can't obviously get super strong muscular ankles, otherwise we don't see bodybuilders with pumped up giant swollen ankles from hypertrophy. So we're just working on building the muscles and strength stability in our feet, in our shins and our calves, making sure our knees tracking properly so everything up and downstream affects one another. Bad knee mechanics and everything out of line is going to affect your ankle and vice versa. So it's important we have a look at those things, and I'll cover that as far as the knee upwards in a separate video with some hints and tips. But for today, just a few basic things. You can use just anything with a little bit of weight. A small weights disc, I wouldn't go sort of any heavier than that really, so it's up to you. And just literally, just think of different things you can do. For example, just using your foot. So trying not to kind of move by flexing at the knee, but then just moving by pushing and pulling. You can use supination and pronation. You can keep your heel pretty fixed and use eversion and inversion. You can swap and pass between your feet, so it's really just, you know, getting things moving. It just makes sense. One of the things that a lot of people forget about that's really important is actually getting some stability in your ankle. It's often where things with different problems will arise, and the main thing is to think about just being a solid base. No sports that I'm aware of, even on the ice, involve being on an a particularly unstable surface. So when I say stability, I don't mean balancing on one leg on a Bosu ball, because you know you need a sturdy platform to push it against and to create stability. You normally are on a firm surface in most sport or athletic endeavours, so you need to do this stuff on a flat surface. That's the first thing. Maybe at very early rehab there are rare occasions where a balance board and things will be useful, but this is all about healthy athletes just trying to get stronger in today's video. Okay, so simple stuff like literally just balancing on one foot and just really getting a better proprioception. That's going to improve your stability and then enable you to be stronger in your ankle. So it could be just involving using the other leg just to lightly touch in different directions, just to work your ankle stability. You could be almost like a single leg deadlifting. You could be touching in different directions, and obviously that's giving you the benefit of working your joints, including your ankles as well. And then the main thing that I see most people do, and this has really helped me when I've had kind of minor tweaks, is just to use a resistance band. And this probably, out of everything, the proprioception stuff is great. You can never get too much of that because that's just good for improving your coordination and body awareness and your stable base to work from. But then actually sort of building strength in some of the smaller muscles. So forgetting the soleus and the gastroc and your anterior tib, you've got lots of other smaller muscles that can benefit from using the band. Just underneath the knuckles of the toes, so don't have it so high that it's on the toes bending them back, don't have it so low that it's completely around the middle of your foot, so by the ball of your foot, and then just loop it round once just to keep it on, and then we can do the usual stuff. So I'm not going to spend too long on this because you all know the deal here. So just working on plantar flexion, and obviously I'm in control of the force that I'm putting down on here. You can do the same thing working on dorsiflexion. To do that, if you haven't got a partner or something to hook around a strong base, you can always just use your other foot. And then what I like to do is, because it's difficult to get that bit of tension, I have to draw my knee up, and then it becomes quite unstable and I can end up pulling with my hip. So what I'll do is I'll reach underneath, grab on here, and then that way I can support this leg on my arm and my hand and keep it more fixed, and then I can work on flexing, trying to get some dorsiflexion. I can really feel that in my shin. So this is a great one for people with shin splints, runners. Really good for just developing dorsiflexion, and you'll fatigue quite quickly. Okay, so that's simple stuff. Again, you can then think about supination and pronation, and eversion and inversion. So keeping the heels together and then rotating out, or actually changing the angle of the foot altogether to pronate. You can move across to the other side with your spare leg, and you can then work on supination, inversion. So you can see you can work your way all the way around, getting every angle, so your feet are working on twisting in and out, moving at the talus, which is where most of the problems arise, around your talus bone rather than the actual ankle itself, which is more of a hinge. This is where you'll get all that rotation and the movement. If this is out of line, then everything else can get messed up and muscles end up overworking, other muscles end up not weak but just not firing properly and all out of sync. Okay, so hopefully that helps. Definitely play around with the band the most. Definitely work on the unilateral stuff, the one leg stuff for your balance. Try with reaching and stretching with the other foot and then using your hands as well. And then you can always play around with moving the weights around, seated, standing, doesn't matter. The usual stuff for strengthening your calves I won't cover, you know that stuff. Calf raises, certainly sort of up on a raised platform, like just a step of your stairs or something like that, just so you get that extra dorsiflexion at the bottom and that stretch. Work on those single leg, double leg, and then you should gradually give yourself the chance to bulletproof your ankles and avoid, that's the main thing, just to try and avoid injury where possible. Thanks, speak soon.